Okay, so here's me again, trying to complete the dishes. No, I didn't even get the glasses done, but that's okay. You know, only for me. That's only okay for me, not everybody else. But the task of doing the dishes, right? I want to talk about that and why it's so hard. Because I make it hard. Like I do with a lot of things in my life. First, I have to rinse everything out. Because like this is the only thing I can control in my life right now. And I did it. That kept me here. And present and felt a little less of a burden. So I made it a ritual. The insanity of it, right? But the brain is it has to have semblance, I believe, and at least mine does. So I just watch the process of how long it takes. This is like 3 days now. Because it is a chore. First I gotta rinse everything, then I gotta bleach everything, then I gotta make sure things are separated, like any of my drinking jugs, and like everything can be a mess around me and dirty around me, but this right here that goes into my mouth and cooks my food is clean, you know, and that's all I get caught up in, because that's all I can control and handle at the time. And that's okay. That's okay, because I'm still here, right? 40 years, man. 40 years of this. These are observations that I want to share that may help somebody. It may not. It may just only help me by documenting it and saying it out loud, because that's how I learn, is to overanalyze something and then repeat it, you know? When I repeat it and I hear it out loud, it either makes sense or it don't, but just try and stay with me of the process of just doing the dang on dishes, man. And realize how hard it is for some people, and you have every right to get upset at us. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to show the process, you know? Hopefully we can all understand it. So hang in there. I try to. And like I said, sometimes I get it done. Sometimes I don't. And I gotta be okay with that in myself. And not be worried about what everybody else does, because then it hurts worse and it's scarier, and you've failed so many, and these are the doubts and the voices that come into your head that just make it so difficult to breathe every day. And I would feel a disservice that I've lived 40 years with the one of not wanting to be here and not share this, and it could help someone else that is just running into it and that don't know. And maybe a little bit of information can help, because it's like a puzzle, right? And I think that puzzle's been confusing to a lot of people, because these are triggers in our head that tell us that it ain't right and something's going wrong, and so you try and hide it and fit in because you don't understand it, because you don't have information. Your brain don't have the information to process what is happening, right? So I just don't feel like I feel like if I don't share this, that someone just now handling it or is at the end of the rope, because I was so close, man. The last 5 years have been really scary. I've never been that close since I was 12. Well, I don't know, when I was 26 when I was diagnosed. So I've failed a lot. And don't think I haven't come up with a defined plan. And then an opportunity came and I have everything I need, right? And I still didn't do it. So there's something there. My brain is trying to save me. But I gotta give it information to do so. And I have to listen to it. I have to silence those other voices that we put on ourselves. And everybody else, you know, we just gotta silence them. And everything around us sometimes. And actually take a good look at us. And why. And is there a better way? Tired of waking up every day and finding out that someone didn't. And I could have helped, maybe. I've lived with this every day of wanting to just not be here. And nobody's talking about it because it's scary. And you don't know. You don't know why everybody does it. Some people don't even think about it. It never reaches their brain, their systems. They have the confidence. They have the self-worth. And understanding that, you know, because things worked out for them, so their brain's not confused. And that's my theory. That's my theory, is that our brain, people like me, our brain gets confused because the things we see and the things we're told are two different things, right? And that's kind of like what the last thing I've read up on autism, and this has been years ago probably, because I don't know how long I've been gone. So the last I read that it was like a timing thing, right? That they would see it, but it wouldn't catch up to them until a few seconds later. And with most people, it catches up right away. And maybe we don't see the in-between of where it's so debilitating that it's visible to where it's debilitating just a little bit at a time, because I've gotten worse. Noises and sounds and lights, and I couldn't do the casino anymore. And so I destroyed myself so I wouldn't have to do the casino anymore. And that was a good thing for me, right? It's just that I didn't know how to act. I didn't have no personal growth. I was stuck in alcoholism because I had to take random drug tests there, so it kept me out of drugs. Those are little things that I've been lucky with in life, right? When things were getting so bad when I was a child, we finally just made the move here for permanent. And that saved my life. It may have been a really rough life after that, but it wasn't as bad as when I was little, you know, and that was hopeful. I just want to point out these triggers to people. And maybe that's why my brain hurt. And maybe that's why my brain's not functioning right. Because things don't match up. Things don't match up that we're told that's supposed to happen. And we got to figure that out, because a lot of people are hurting and they're not staying here when we're learning. And there's just a little bit more hope out there, man. Like, I was reading on the protein about the extreme PMS, and I read the article on HuffPost, and I think the research came from Texas University, I think, you know. But it gave me so much hope. And, I mean, it gave me so much vindication that all those times I should have been happy, right? And I wasn't. And to know and realize that they just found out that I was born that way. You don't know how relieving that was, that these feelings of not wanting to be here wasn't really me. It never was really me. I just want to reach out there and tell people that. There's so much out there that gets stifled because they want to sell a product or they paid to get to the top of the list. Guys, I want to tell you there's more. And for me, there is now. Now there is. Now that I can see what happened to me and little things I want to point out. So maybe it won't happen to you or a loved one or your child. You know, people say, oh, you're a helicopter mom, and that boy is going to be a mama's boy, and it can be further from the truth. I see the angst in him every time I see him. Wish you're going to be like today. You know? Can I speak? And that's horrible. It's devastating to you, to me, you know, like I devastate myself when I do those things. And it's uncontrollable. And I don't know why it's uncontrollable, and I don't like it. I want to control it or at least learn how to work with it to where I can contain it in my own head and realize it's an intrusive thought. And it's not even me. Hey, I got the glasses done. You know, that's something. Glare. Got what it was. Just pointing out things that affected me in my life that maybe is what's wrong with my brain. Because things just don't sync up. And I don't know why they don't sync up. Maybe it's the damage I did. Maybe it's all the fighting I did and the banging of the head. I was a mean little girl. But I can remember points in my life where so vivid, like to this day, still have nightmares about and stuff, and just certain points, like don't let other children watch your children, man. That's where a lot of it started. Children just a little bit older than me, in charge of me. I can remember an instance when I was 3, so, like I said, I wake up in nightmares. I was 3 years old. That's, you know, people would be like, you're a helicopter mom. Well, you know, that's where my trauma started, was with other children. So you start a survival mechanism in your brain to fight very early, or accept it and live on. And I guess by the time I was 12, so much had happened, and all that abuse when we moved here had went away, right? Because I wasn't around them type of people, and that's important. That's why I shut a lot of people out when I had my kid, because I got really scared of what happened to me when I was a kid, and that didn't give him some experience, but it saved him from a lot of traumas he didn't have to go through. Now, I'm not saying I didn't screw him up, but not the way I was. And, you know, he can maybe work things out because it is tangible and of what I did, right? He could see the mental illness. And I thought I was hiding. I was hiding the real crazy parts, right? The walking up and down and the pulling my hair. And I had goats at one time just so I could get up in the morning and have something to take care of besides trying to take care of myself, right? Because I knew they couldn't take care of themselves. And to me as a human being, I see anything. I say something, I do something, and I don't know where I was going with this. I just lost train of thought. But I made a purpose to give something that couldn't take care of itself. So I would make myself get up and take care of them the best I could. They ate, right? And I grazed them, I walked them, and we had fun. So I may have used them as a tool. Like I've used a lot of things that as a tool, and that I'm proud of, right? I didn't hurt them. But the things that I started using as a tool as I was growing up, I did hurt. And I didn't know. And that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. That's a revelation. You know? It's a revelation to myself that you're a human being and you didn't know any better, and now you do, and you have to spread it. There's a lot of hurt that don't have to happen. And it's usually set on by dogmas that our brains don't understand, because it doesn't really make sense to have the feelings that other people have when you don't see it that way. You know? And I want to get to, like, that's always been there. It's never not been there in our species and species that came before us. If that was there in our species that came before us and growing and spreading, and we wouldn't be here, man. And we haven't been here long. And this is just an experiment here, right? The whole human experiment. And being an experiment, you can't isolate it to variants and factors, right? Like the medicine industry. They call it science. I call it lazy. They don't do the studies on female rats that they do on male rats. But they make the medicine for everyone, women, children. But it doesn't, it's not made for women and children. None of the studies are done in women and children rats. Just in men rats. I mean, think about that. You know, and that confuses my brain to how they want to help me when they're the ones running up against the wall doing the same thing, expecting a different result, but they call me insane. I don't think I'm insane. I just think that nothing matches up for me. And what everybody else, well, not everybody else. That's just it. There's a lot of us that it don't match up for. Because our brains don't work that way. And that's okay. Y'all gotta accept that it's been there forever, and everything around us, nature, everything, you have to accept it. It's tangible. You can see it. Just stop what you're doing for one moment. And I know it's hard because it's hard to survive. And look, watch nature. And think about your feelings and reactions and how similar they are. And we fight that. It's another thing that don't make no sense to me, that triggers me, and I don't understand why people, but they don't think like I do, right? Like, I'm watching things and they're doing things and dedicating to this and this and this, but the whole time they're complaining about, I don't want to be specific, and it's so hard to think right off the bat of another example to where I don't bring people into it, right? So let's move on. I guess I'll use it because this is what people don't understand about people like me that think different and are different. You know, this person was complaining about an animal on their farm. They love them, right? But once they hit a certain age, they don't have no more use for them, right? Because they're cute when they're babies, but not then. But that's not their fancy. It's someone else in their family's fancy. So he tolerates them. But when predators started coming in and taking them out, right? He started popping them off instead of trapping them. Or like when I had to deal with coyotes, I would set up traps, right, that they can get out of, because coyotes are very smart. If they feel like they're gonna get hurt to get what they need, then they don't go back to that place, right? Very smart. You can't take an alpha out because then they go crazy. So you can't really hunt them down and stuff, because you ruin the order of how they live in nature. And at some point we've ruined the order of how we live in nature. And it came from fear, right? We had to build walls to keep everything out, and we had to lock doors to keep people from coming in and taking what we think is ours. And they're just things. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. I'm just trying to show where my brain has all these conflicts, and maybe that's why it's sick. And to stop and for people to look at their brain and why they're angry at people that have no power and things they can't control. Find the little thing that you can control, like these dishes. But when I can't do it in that order, it's all blown. I gotta start all over again, no matter how far I've gotten in the process. And that's a semblance for me. That's just waking up and saying I woke up. It's important that you hear this, and I hope it helps someone that needs it. Like I said, man, it's gotten so bad that it's just hard. I've missed so much in this movie in my head, and now I see it, and I need to share it because there's people out there that need this. Everything's flailing. Everything we've been told. And even for the people that it's normal, right? Like, their brains work a little bit different. And they can live in society and do the things that's set up for them. They're unrested too. And they're confused because everything they've been told, all the advances we've made, we're going backwards. And that hurts. It hurts a lot of us, not just emotionally and stunted and growth. And see, like, you don't even see this. I keep looking down. I'm flipping this one bowl in this thing, and I'm not even watching. I'm just flipping it just so I can talk. And I can't do that in public when I'm facing people. I don't have nothing to fidget with or anything that doesn't show my shame and how I have to function just to think and talk and walk, you know? Those are hard things for me now. just to put one foot in front of the other. It makes no sense. I want to share it. It needs to be said. Maybe you haven't seen it yet, or you don't notice it yet. I was a weird little ghetto kid, right? I'm not very intelligent because of my learning disabilities. I don't meet the standards of what they call intelligent because I can't learn the way everyone else does. It's just different. So the things I do excel in, I can't do anymore, and that's debilitating to have something so little to hold on to and lose it. And to go back, to just being able to put one foot in front of the other and not have a wheelchair or a prosthetic leg or a missing limb to show it. And it's just that you can't see what I have unless I embarrass myself in public. That's why I've stayed away, and I missed a lot. A lot of my son's everything, band and things I couldn't go to because there was so much anger at things that nobody else seen the way I seen them. And I can't expect that from everyone. And I hope you can't expect that from everyone either, to see and live the way you do. Because we're just trying to survive. And it gets harder and harder to do so as you get older. You lose things that you thought you'd never lose, like the abilities to walk and talk and control or cook for yourself. And that's just age process. That's not even a sick mind. That's an aging mind. But I know how they feel. Because I'm just like them. And you will be one day too, if it's old age or an accident or... It doesn't happen to all, but it happens to a lot. And we don't see them people. We don't give them empathy. We need to come back to empathy and nature. And no, I'm not tree hugging. If I was mentally stable, I'd be a gun-toting little girl. But I'm not mentally stable, and I know this. So I don't fool with guns and weapons. I'm very good at them. Done a lot of things with weapons, nunchucks and tri-staffs, and that I taught myself and was pretty good at. Taught my son, never put a bruise on him, right? When I learned how to fight, my brothers were 10 and 12 years older than me because my mom had so many children in between that she lost. And I was the sixth child. There was one after me, but only 3 of us made it. Were we the lucky ones that made it? Because none of us has had a decent life. We've been really bad people sometimes, and everyone has. Don't clutch your pearls, baby. There's been points in your life that was so low that you haven't seen them yet. You haven't, because you haven't looked at yourself. It's hard. It's hard to look at yourself. Especially when everybody's trying to tell you how to look at yourself. That's the thing, Just look at yourself. Drop everything that you've been told. And be honest, human being, to yourself. A lot of environmental factors that causes these things, whether it be confusion in the head or chemicals we grew up with or paint chips they ate way back. We can keep blaming and blaming and blaming. We all know what it is. Greed. Money. So we need to just drop that, right? We know that. We have what we know. So let's quit arguing about it and get to behind that, where it all starts at, like things in your life as a child when you're not like everyone else, and the confusion that causes your brain. Like I had a teacher one time, because not a teacher, a psychologist, and my son had trouble hearing, and everybody kept testing for learning disabilities instead of hearing. And so we're in the psychologist's office, and they're like, we're expressing his home life, etc. And I'm like, well, we teach him how to use two hands, because when I went to table game, to the casino business, and was dealing, I had to learn how to use both hands. Well, I'm a little ambidextrous anyway, because I can write. I've made it a point in my life to write left-handed and whatever, so it wasn't too hard, right? So I taught him from a very early age to use two hands. And she pointed out to me, she goes, well, if he's right-handed or left-handed, you may be confusing his brain. And that point in my life, it clicked, right? Someone pointed something out. I had already done it. The damage was done, if it was any damage. We don't know, right? It could be. It just could be. We're not sure yet. And that's okay, because that's how you learn. Some people that believe in things look for signs. I look for signs and knowledge, right? That's something that my brain says, ooh, that's a good piece of information, even though it can't. That's why it was so important to me to read everything, even if I disagreed with it, or even if I didn't understand it. Like the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it took me months to read it and understand it, and over and over and over again. But that was at a point in my life, for a fleeting moment, that I could. And I took advantage of it and tried to gain as much knowledge of it as possible. Now, I can't tell you, like song artists and stuff, I've never been able to tell you who sings what and what the name of the song is, or even if I sing the song right, because I don't understand it sometimes, right? And I put the wrong word in there. It's like I said, a rambling, and I can go on and on and on, and everybody's tired of hearing it, and me not doing nothing about it. I didn't know what to do about it. I had no clue what to do about it, and this is my solution to it, and I hope it helps more than just me. Because when I wake up and have these revolutions in my brain, and all the analytics that keep going on that I can't shut up, my computer had finally spit out a little bit of a receipt now. This is the tricky part. Is it something my brain's just, okay, this is it? Because this is how I make a lot of mistakes when I think I'm better. Is I'll gain some knowledge, and that's just enough to get by and accept who I am, and this is how it's got to be for now, right? Until I gain more knowledge and I can work that out. I'm just trying to share everything I see and picked out through the years, and where I was, man, I was so far gone in my own little head, thinking that I had any right for anybody else around me to know what was happening when I don't. It's not all about me. And even though I want it to be because I'm desperate to get better, it's exhausting to them and the people around you and you come in contact with, and it's exhausting, and it's threatening, and it's scary to them too. You can see it in them, and that's more shame you put in your head, that you've hurt, again, someone you love. And I think sometimes I get to the point to where I'm just mean and hateful just to push them away so I can do what I need to do and not be here. And that's not good. That's not good at all. I do need to be here. I just have to be in a better state of mind to do it. I don't know how to get there. I'm just trying to document what I have experienced and learned, and it may not be your truth. Hell, I may have not learned anything at all yet. But I hope I have, and I hope someone who needs this hears this. I've survived 40 years of not wanting to, in my own head, of fighting myself on a daily basis, trying to feel what other people feel, trying to see what other people see. And I'm tired of fighting with them. I may never understand you, but it was totally wrong for me to disrespect you. There's no reason we can't be friends or love each other. I'm not asking you to live with me or go to bed with me or... Okay, so I want you to start a company with me. I am asking that. Because I think it could do a lot of good for our community and give people like me just a little bit of hope and not ditch out for 20 years, man. Wow, 20 years. Just... And all the wrong I've done there, and now I can see it. It's hard to deal with, on top of trying to keep my brain from... Just give me a little rest, you know, just my brain, we fight. Just shut the hell up. The voices, and there's so many of them, and they're all mine. See, I say the voices like it's like I hear something from the other side. No, these are all my voices of things I've collected in life and personalities I've been. The good, the bad. They'll speak up. You call them memories, I call them voices. And they fight constantly. And so that made me fight others that had no power, that understood, that didn't understand what was happening in there. And I see that now, and I want you to hear it. So maybe it can help someone. Maybe they can figure out why. I'm sitting here like if I need to pump up a tire, it'd be pumped up right now with this one foot. You know, I keep changing from one foot, and you don't see these things. And when you do, you just shun us, look away, feel sorry for us. Those aren't the proper responses to help us. I don't know what is, but that hasn't worked for me. One thing, I'm afraid to accept help because the stuff I have opened up to and gave myself to, and the institutions and things that I was told were safe and could help me, didn't. And that's not because of them. I don't blame them. I don't. How could they see it? They don't feel it. They don't live it every day. even blame myself because I don't know. And I can't blame myself for something I don't know. And you can't either. And it's okay. You know, everybody's got to know it's okay. Just quit telling everybody how to live and maybe listen to how they are trying to live and trying to make it. And it's, you can't always see it. And I can't control it. And I'm at my end of my rope. Everything I've tried don't help. This is the only thing I can do is document it, right? So people can see it. And maybe they know. Or maybe they just need to hear it. You can survive another 40 years by not wanting to be here every day. It's hard. It don't get any easier because you have to stop and look at yourself and what actually is going on around you and take all those things and push them away. It's the only thing the hospital did do, right? Is that when we went in, all the outside world was stripped away. And that's the only thing they did right for me. But it was also wrong because it also helped me think that I was hiding the truth from people. People I loved and lived with me. I wasn't hiding shit. Made them mad. I don't blame them. I didn't involve them in none of it because I was so ashamed of it. There's no reason for me to be ashamed of it. Only because I've been told to be. This is just me. And this is how I deal and the way I have to be. And this is the only way I can breathe every day. And that's okay. I do it. I fight it. But I've been lucky in life to have little things that stop me from going too far. And I think back, and I think that's what I do a lot for myself, and I didn't even know it. Just, remember that just because somebody tells you something and it don't always line up, don't let it affect you like this. Find your truth in the way your brain works, because there should be a place for all of it. There always has been. We didn't get here for it not to be. We all need to stop and look at that. Thank you.